Craftsmanship, thy name is Reece. Hello everybody, welcome back to the weekly Armchair Sports Talk. It's the weekly Steelchair, Saturday of course, our primetime edition. Dare I say, primetime is primetime. It is of course our show with a new concept actually, which we'll be coming to throughout the show. In fact, we'll come to it at the end of the show. Because obviously the main point of today's show is of course Revolution, AEW's pay-per-view, which is funny enough tomorrow. So we actually get to preview it on the perfect time, which is of course our time, Saturday Night Fever. No, not really. I'm not John Travolta. But of course, it is me, the host of the show. It's Reece, joined by my ever-present co-host, Eilidh. It's good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, always fun to be here. Getting ready to obviously dive into AEW Revolution. We're hoping to be slicker this week. Just want to let the chat know we're only going to be talking about your comments if they are relevant to AEW Revolution or where our conversation goes. We are going to try and keep our conversation on the AEW Revolution. We're just trying to make this show a bit more structured, a bit less sort of sludgy. So I've been looking forward to this one for several days now because I want to we want to prove to ourselves that we can keep a show together, run it for an hour, in and out, and hopefully we'll still have a good time regardless. And we can save all the other pointless chit-chat for group chats and other things. But no, doing all right, doing well, ready to get stuck into what should be a very interesting night for AEW. I think they have a lot to prove, but we're going to find out how much of that they can prove. You doing all right, Reece?
I am doing okay, actually. I'm off work for the next 8 days, so I've got a bit of holiday, which is good. So I'm actually going to be able to watch this live rather than watch it the following day where I would have been exhausted. I will be watching this live, so I'm looking forward to it. I always try to watch the pay-per-views as much as I can live. It's Dynamite or Rampage. Depending on how I'm feeling, I'll probably watch it the next day. In this case, I did watch Rampage last night after SmackDown. I wasn't too tired. I was able to watch it, which was good. I've enjoyed AEW's content this week. I actually think AEW's content the past couple of weeks have actually been better. I think that had been... I think one thing we spoke about back in January, and we were very honest about this. First of all, I love AEW, but in terms of out of the two of us, Eilidh loves AEW more than I do. That is complete honesty.
Bold to say, because I'll be honest, I think it's getting worse.
I think in terms of the honest though, out of the two of us, as much as I love AEW, I know for a fact you love it more than I do.
All right, so what you're saying is I'm more of an AEW fan. I think I'm more of an AEW critic. I want it to be so good that I follow it closely, but that also, and we'll get into it, and we'll dive into the problems I've got with this match card, the problems that AEW's got in general. Before we dive into the match card, I want a quick 1 minute mention for the second worst match I've seen all year. It happened on Dynamite. It was Orange Cassidy versus Big Bill, and I absolutely hated it. It was stupid. It was Orange Cassidy's usual nonsense, and apparently a guy Big Bill's size can't put away a guy with his hands in his pockets. It was ridiculous. And then, of course, we know what went on to happen. So we will talk about Orange Cassidy later on, but we're going to just dive straight in before one of us is tempted to hit the other with the steel chair in a very unprofessional manner in the head. Now, of course, there's a pre-show match, which, I mean, the pre-show match is pre-show match. It's there. We're going to dive straight in instead to the first match on the main card, hence the steel chair reference, because Christian Cage is finally facing Jungle Boy in what I hope will be the end of this feud. I mean, the match stipulation suggests that, doesn't it, Reece?
Yes, it does. And can I just say as well, in respect to Tony Khan, right, who I have openly destroyed at times on this podcast.
We've both eviscerated him, yeah.
Can I just say as well, in respect to him, and I don't know if you'll agree or not, but when it comes to this feud, Christian Cage versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and the involvement of Luchasaurus throughout, they've actually nailed this one on the head. They've actually got... I actually think this is actually the only feud that I think long-term wise, maybe Moxley versus Page.
Okay.
I think Danielson versus MJF is another one. There's a few in here I'm a little bit skeptical. I actually think they've actually done this right. The only thing is, though, the only thing they've done wrong is this final burial match they're doing should have been done, I don't know, maybe a month ago. I think maybe a month ago, it would have been perfect to kill them off, and then going into Revolution, Christian Cage could have worked with someone else. Jungle Jack Perry could have been looking at maybe an All-Atlantic title match or something, because he deserves that. He's worked so hard. He deserves an opportunity at a championship, a singles one. Christian Cage, he's already elevated Jack Perry from mediocrity because he was fading fast. I think we spoke about that as a 4-pillar. Jungle Jack Perry was completely null and void. He was irrelevant. Yeah. Christian Cage has completely revitalized his career. I think he's completely done it. But the final burial, I think it's come a little bit too late. But I still think it'll be a good match, considering the fact that what they brought to the screen last night, in reference to obviously Jack Perry obviously done the promo standing by a gravesite. He held a shovel, and they done a reference point to the bump when obviously Christian was on the show with Edge, and he got to speak to his dad, Luke Perry, Jungle Jack Perry's late father, Luke Perry, star of 90210, star of Riverdale, great actor. Christian Cage is a big fan of his. He got to have that moment, and then Jungle Jack Perry referenced him in the promo saying, "Now's your chance to be close to my dad." As if he is going to bury him, you can join him. And I quite like that null point. A little bit tongue-in-cheek in terms of marking it to the dead. But I quite like the way they went about it. But I think they could have maybe done it, I don't know, maybe a month ago. But
yeah,
what about you thinking?
I feel like this is a feud that they picked up and put down. The feud started in June.
I know.
When Luchasaurus turned was June. Because it was at Road Rager.
It was.
Sorry, when Christian turned, it was Road Rager. So that's going a long way back. I mean, we're now in March. So you then got to ask, well, was this a 9-month feud worth having? The thing is, it's not even really a 9-month feud. It's a feud they picked up and they put down again. Now they've just picked it up again. Jungle Boy seemed set to have a tag run with Hook.
He was,
Jungle Hook was really getting over, and then Jungle Hook wasn't the plan anymore, and they just put it down. And Christian, he was fit, he wasn't fit, he was fit, he wasn't fit. Luchasaurus was involved. Luchasaurus has sort of gone away. I can see him definitely playing some kind of role in this match.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the role is. I don't know if he finally sees the light and helps Jungle Boy defeat Christian, or if he's maybe doing Christian's dirty work for him, sort of basically like a hired muscle. Of course, he wouldn't be hired, but he'd behave in that way. Yes. It's a tricky one. I don't see any way that Jungle Boy's career survives if Christian beats him. I think that completely kills Jungle Boy, whatever, circumstance it is. I think even if Luchasaurus does it, okay, so down the line we're going to get Jungle Boy against Luchasaurus, but we'd already built that and had it.
Yeah.
So we'll go back round in the circle, and then we'll just go back round in the inner circle. And it's just ridiculous to think that Jungle Boy losing this match would elevate him in any way just because he's working with Christian. So I think Jungle Boy has to win here. He has to.
I agree with you completely. And the reason I said elevated his career because Jungle Boy needed that big win. I think this is the big win that he needs. And if he doesn't get the big win, then I agree with you. I don't know what happens next. I think it'd be the equivalent of what's a fair comparison that we can do that?
I don't know, Moxley and Gunther.
No, I said fair comparison, not a stupid one. Not a stupid one. It's like actually here's a relatively good comparison when you look at timing. WrestleMania 25. It's the only reference we're going to do today about what.
I was thinking don't break the rule. Remember, we're trying not to mention them.
I'm not going to say the name of the company, but all I'm going to do is I'm just going to reference that one show because they got the timing wrong then, but then they rectified it the following month at Backlash. Randy Orton should have won the WWE title And he had to. It was the only title he was actually going for. I have to do it. He was going for that title back in 2009 at WrestleMania 25 after he won the Royal Rumble, and he didn't. He lost. He then wins it at Backlash. The perfect timing was right there to pull the trigger and give him that additional run that he needed, because he was already there. He was finally at what he wanted to be after the year he had before.
Yeah, everyone comment down below Reese's forfeit for mentioning the company we're not allowed to mention today.
Don't worry, it's not. There's no forfeit. If I'd completely turned the show into them, then I would have had to do a forfeit. But I had to do a fair.
No, we're keeping it on. To be fair, what you're talking about and how we can't mention that company today, I said it last week. It's really tricky because, I mean, in every single one of these matches,
all that company's.
Yeah, I think in every single one of these matches, except for, I was about to say except for the pre-show, but Daivari and Nice are both there. So
exactly.
No, I think every match has that company's talent. So it's really tricky to do. We're going to do our best. We're going to try not to get caught up. But I'm saying Jungle Boy wins this one.
Me too.
Yeah, Jungle Boy.
Jungle Boy to win. I'm not sure what Luchasaurus' involvement is going to be. Maybe Luchasaurus actually turns on Christian. Who knows?
Maybe you need to unmask Luchasaurus and give him a different character and let him go his own way.
That would be wicked to see him unmasked.
Like, whether you want a big heel or you want this babyface sort of Latino star, unmask him, remove him, because Luchasaurus is too tied into Jungle Boy. You'd have to unmask him to take him in a different direction. And speaking of different directions...
briefly, sorry, before we move on.
Sorry.
Briefly, he doesn't unmask, he just changes the mask design, and he just stops referring to himself as Luchasaurus.
So just a different mask, sort of, I mean, A-Kid Axiom style? I don't even know if A-Kid was masked, but I know it was a different mask.
Something on that ilk. Yeah,
something like that. Oh, no, I did it again. Silly me. Well, he was technically on the Indies, so... Shush.
We're safe. Anyway, I'm gonna give this one to you.
Yeah, well, speaking of change of direction, the Revolution will be televised. Ricky Starks looked to be a world title contender a couple months ago, and then Chris Jericho went, "Hi, you're going to work with me," and Chris Jericho's dragged him down, and Chris Jericho has ruined Ricky Starks' momentum, and they think that they're going to fix Ricky Starks' momentum when he beats Chris Jericho. But the damage has been done. People were genuinely ready to see Ricky Starks beat MJF last month.
So was I.
So we wanted to see it. We were like, yeah, sure, go for it. I mean, apart from that weird promo where he said that MJF's shoes are never ironed, he got so fired up that he said the words in the wrong order. And if you go back and watch it, he says, "Your shoes, they're never ironed." Is ironing shoes maybe I've been missing a trick.
I've never seen it, but if people iron their shoes, let me know, because I might tempt to just iron my black shoes that I wear from time to time.
Yeah, maybe that's the secret. Maybe that's the secret to success. What isn't the secret to success is the Jericho Appreciation Society, and they're banned from ringside. But what's stopping a new Jericho Appreciation Society member showing up?
There's nothing There's nothing stopping them.
Especially someone with no direction, who they are high on, and who Chris Jericho later down the line could eke some more popularity out of and get more clout as the clout vampire that he is. I think Will Hobbs might be involved here.
That's funny you should mention that. Funny you should mention that, because he was one of 3 people on my mind.
Okay.
And the weirdest swerve of all time. So, and no, I'm not referencing Swerve as in I think he should do the society. I'm just going Swerve as in the actual thing itself. The first one you've actually mentioned, fun enough, is Will Hobbs. Completely agree with you. The second one, because of mutual appreciation for each other, I would have said Hook. Mutual appreciation for his dad, Taz. He appreciates Hook's talent. But the third one is Chris Jericho beats Ricky Starks, and then Ricky Starks joined the Jericho Appreciation Society.
Oh, they need to kill this group.
I think personally they should have killed it. They do. I think first of all, Jericho being stuck with Sammy Guevara is the worst form of punishment this legend has ever had. They should have got... there's torture in itself, and then there's putting him with Sammy Guevara. I mean, the man does not deserve that. He does not deserve that, Jericho. You know I don't like Sammy Guevara.
No, very few people do. But, I mean, I'd rather have Sammy Guevara on my roster than Chris Jericho at the moment. Chris Jericho just gets people to roll their eyes. It's
been a problem, though.
Dull.
Like, I actually think Ricky Starks needs to be in a different sort of position. I agree. I actually thought he would have been a genuinely good option to take the title off MJF, even if it's a short reign. He wins off MJF, but then he drops it back to him. But he still has
now that we've established that the All Atlantic title is like Americans can fight for it and win it.
Mm-hmm.
Just have Ricky Starks beat Orange Cassidy in like 6 minutes. And then start putting a bit of life into this title. You want to have another title going around. You're not going to put Ricky Starks over Wardlow or Samoa Joe. We'll come on to that one. So if you want him to have a title and you want him to build the credibility of it, he has to win the All Atlantic title. And that's what I would do. Just after this feud, Ricky Starks challenges and beats Orange Cassidy. Maybe Orange Cassidy's caught in his own drama. Maybe he can't get his hands out his pockets in time. Ricky Starks would be a great All-Atlantic champion. He'd be able to take on a challenger every 2-3 weeks. Doesn't have to be every week, but every week that he isn't challenging, there should be a promo. There should be a vignette. There should be something about him saying, "Yeah, I'm brilliant. I'm great." It should be a bit cocky.
How long has Cassidy been All-Atlantic champion now?
Well, he beat Pac. Was that Full Gear?
I think it was. So he's been champion. Jesus, that's a long reign.
It's because they don't know what to do with it. Tony came up with a title because he wanted a fun 4-way match, and then, I mean, I've got the card here. Okay, no, it wasn't Full Gear. It must have been after that.
May as well just
Full
check.
Gear was a 6-man title.
Yeah, that was
Orange Cassidy wins title. 13th of October. It was before Full Gear.
So he's been champion 6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 months.
5 months.
All right, okay, 5 months. That's a decent title reign for a mid-card title, but it's not decent if you're not actually getting anything credible with it.
So let Ricky Starks go over Chris Jericho, and then have Ricky Starks beat Orange Cassidy. You can turn him heel because that worked before. You could keep him face because that's working now. But Ricky Starks is much better than, playing second fiddle to Action Andretti and having to big up Chris Jericho's ego because Chris Jericho isn't done in the spotlight.
I actually do wonder, and this is a sad thing. Like, this is a really sad thing, right? What happens to Ricky Starks if Chris Jericho actually beats him?
He goes to the Jungle Boy route, like if Christian Cage beats him. This is what's weird about this card, and why I don't think they'll do it in this order. 2 matches we've discussed so far, and both of them have this old sort of canned ham wrestler. Christian Cage is okay. Chris Jericho can still do the moves. Don't much care for him in 2023. I barely cared about him in 2019.
Yeah.
I didn't care about Christian when he came back at the Rumble in 2020. Mentioned it again. I didn't much care. So I want to see these younger guys get elevated. The problem Tony Khan has is he's never put these people actually over and got them over and made them stars in their own right. So he always has to take a Christian and put him with a Jungle Boy. He always has to take a Ricky Starks and put him with a Chris Jericho. Because the stars can't build themselves up. No one cares if Ricky Starks fights Sammy Guevara. It's a great match, but no one cares because neither of them are stars. The Jungle Boy fights Darby Allin. Great match. No one actually cares because neither of them are stars. And that's 3 of the 4 pillars. And Ricky Starks, who you could argue is a 5th pillar, came out of nowhere. He's very, very, very good. I rate him really highly.
So do I. I think he's got everything. He actually does remind me of a few. He does actually remind me of a few stars meshed into one. He gives me this, like, I don't know if you see it right, but this is just what I see from Ricky Starks. He gives me the cockiness of. He gives me an earlier years Chris Jericho cockiness, early years Jericho cockiness.
No, I get that.
He gives me great in work like William Regal. I think he's got great.
Okay.
But then the one thing actually, and this is something that is compared to a British wrestler here, another British wrestler, not William Regal.
Okay.
When I hear him on the mic, I immediately get McGuinness vibes. I don't know about you, but I do. Like the way he delivers a promo, like the way McGuinness done it when he was in Impact, for example, when he was Desmond Wolfe. It was always precise delivery of his promos. And yeah, he made the odd mistake as well. And obviously, Ricky Starks made that mistake with the ironing part.
Yeah, but he just got so fired up. Yeah, he said that.
But so did McGuinness, even like when he was on commentary or where he was when he was in Impact or when he was like Ring of Honor, like all that.
Yeah.
I get that vibe from him. So I get the Jericho cockiness, I get the William Regal grafting of the work, and then I immediately get McGuinness vibes for a promo. And I actually like that mold of him. But the one thing that I do feel for him is because he's so young, he's not green. He definitely isn't green.
No.
But I think there's still raw talent in there that needs to be given a run.
Exactly. He needs to be away from this and elevated. So we both saying Ricky Starks?
Ricky Starks to win, and I'm hoping, and I say this in the nicest way, I hope he counters the Judas effect and beats him clean.
Yeah. A clean win and move on is exactly what I want for Ricky Starks. Move on, All Atlantic title run, put some credibility into the belt, make it mean something. Because he almost did that with the FTW title. You know, it sort of meant something. So he could do that. Anyway, talking about things that mean nothing, the trios titles. The Elite up against the House of Black. I'm going to let you lead. I'm going to let you start. I don't think we have too much to say about it, but on you go.
I know that we have contrasting opinions on the Elite, but we both equally love the House of Black. The House of
Black, yeah.
Perfect. It's a perfect stable right now. It's generally the perfect stable since Death Triangle are no longer going.
Well, the Bloodline are the perfect stable, but I get what you're saying.
The Elite, on the other hand, I like the Elite. I've always liked the Elite. I just don't like how they do business. I've never been a fan of how they do business, but I like the work. I've always been honest. I like Omega and I like the Young Bucks, but I just have a problem with how they do things backstage. Since they've won the trios title in the Best of 7 series, they've had a few good matches, and then they've had some that have been a little bit. You didn't really need to go up against these guys this week. There was no need.
What are you kidding? Their match a few weeks ago was a slam dunk.
I'm just not gonna. No.
Okay.
I'm just not gonna. But there's just some things that just weren't necessary, and that, funnily enough, is one of them.
Yes, exactly.
This match, on the other hand, completely necessary, because this right here is the perfect time to pass things on. And what I mean by that is...
Oh, I'd quite like them to pass... No, I'm kidding.
This is the perfect time. Since the House of Black returned prominently to AEW, like Matthews, Malachi Black, and Brody King finally got back together, like returned obviously after injuries and concerns about where the direction was going. They have literally tore it apart, and they've completely got into the Elite's head. And I like that psychological factor from the House of Black. They do psychological work so much better. A certain man from another company who can't wrestle, but is great at psychological work, should take notes. The Elite are really good at winding up the opposition. They are really good at crafting a match, but it's overly choreographic, and at times you miss a lot of good spots because of the too many flips, and then it's wasting that time. This, on the other hand, should just be a pure good wrestling match. And I hope that it will be, because this is the perfect time. Well, and I say that, I said I hope. I'm not going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope to win the lottery, mate. Like, the Elite don't do good classic wrestling matches. The only good classic wrestling match I've seen from the Young Bucks was because FTR literally went, "You're doing it this way."
Exactly.
You know.
That's my fear, though.
Yeah.
In this match, though, I want the House of Black to win. I think they need, because they have been completely dominating the Elite for the past couple of weeks. They've completely nullified the Elite altogether, attacking them on the stage in the dark. The promos, they return, specifically singling them out. They have that momentum, but it would not surprise me though if it's the Young Bucks do a springboard tombstone pile driver after multiple super kick parties, and then Kenny Omega hits a V trigger, and then dunks him on his head, dunks Buddy Matthews on his head, and then that's it. 1, 2, 3. The Elite, for all they can do, the Young Bucks need to go back to just being the tag division, but not win the title straight away, but actually put more teams over. It'd be good for them to actually help the Acclaimed a bit more, in my opinion. We'll come to the Acclaim later on. Kenny Omega needs to get back into the singles scene. I don't think he suits tag team wrestling at all. I don't think he suits trios teams. I think he's just one of those guys who's perfectly suited for singles, and he should stay in the singles rank.
Do you think they're going to take the belts off the Elite because Kenny Omega's leaving?
Not tonight. But
in other words, do you think Kenny Omega's leaving?
I'd be very surprised if he is.
Certain offers come along and they're too good to resist.
Yeah. You can't turn stuff like that down. It's hard.
It depends. I don't know how. I think they added like 8 or 9 months onto his contract, so maybe they don't have to take them off yet. It would be pretty stupid for them not to put the House of Black over. But the Elite have almost got that Roman Reigns, Charlotte Flair rule about them, where you don't bet against them. Exactly. So I'm going to say the Elite win, just because they're the Elite. I'd love it if they don't. I'd love it if we beat them. Love it. But it might not happen.
I am the same as you. As much as I would like to see a new champion crown, because it would be better for the company going forward, and the House of Black are a genuine unit that actually work well together as a team. Omega and the Young Bucks, even though they are a group, I actually don't think they work well as a team. I think they just happen to be best friends in a team. They don't work well together.
As frustrating as it is, Hangman worked better with the Bucks, Cody worked better with the Bucks, and Adam Cole also worked better with the Bucks.
So did Styles in New Japan, worked a lot better with the Bucks.
Yeah, true. Kenny Omega is just this weird fit. But yeah, so I'm saying the Elite to win. You're saying the Elite to win? Elite to win,
yeah, and retain the title.
Yeah, so retaining a title is probably the theme of the next match as well. I don't have much to say about this. Jamie Hayter is going to win the triple threat. She has to. The money match here is Jamie Hayter versus Britt Baker. And Jamie Hayter just has to go along steadily, picking up wins, until Britt Baker's had enough. We need to do the classic story. Yeah, we need to do the classic story of, I'm so happy for you, There are so many different examples I can refer to, but I know I'm mentioning a lot from that company. So I'll just try not to.
To be fair, you can also do the same from WCW's era, where Ric Flair constantly said that he loved what Sting was doing, but then the minute Sting got momentum, he turned on him and took the title back.
There you go. I think we'll get away with that one. Yeah, so like Ric Flair and Sting, yeah. I think Jamie Hayter's just got to keep winning. I think Saraya isn't over. I think this thing with the spray painting L's onto people when you beat them up is terrible. And Ruby Soho's been absolutely ruined. I mean, I didn't think she would mean less in AEW than she did in WWE, but there you go.
I actually feel sorry for her, because I liked when she first came into AEW. When she came into AEW, she looked completely fresh again. All in respect to her, she looked completely fresh again. She looked so much more motivated. She looked genuinely happy.
Yeah, and for all the good that Jade Cargill's had, And for how much better she's getting, apparently, I'll be honest, her match is usually the one that I look at my phone.
I think Jade Cargill's a victim of her own success now.
Yeah, well, for how good she is and like the 50 wins thing, and she goes on and on, I still think having Ruby Soho go over and be the first TBS champion would have been better. And she could have still been that champion now. You know, you could have actually run the exact same thing.
You could have.
Yeah, because Ruby Soho's first win in AEW could have been could have been the Battle Royal. The second would have been beating Jade Cargill.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, you just go and go. She moves from strength to strength. But she's had her nose broken. She's had other injuries. Obviously, those things happen, and it ain't ballet. But at the same time, no, this really hasn't worked for Ruby Soho.
She's also had to endure the Toni Storm debut as well, who came in after her and completely usurped her. Yeah,
because people cared more about Toni Storm because for a lot of people, she's better.
Yeah.
And I mean, I absolutely love Toni Storm. So I would back that corner every day in life. I would say, yep, Toni Storm. Toni Storm's a better wrestler than Ruby Soho. I think it's pretty clear. I mean, currently, Ruby Soho's doing better stuff because at least Ruby Soho isn't running around with spray paint, painting L's onto people.
I don't understand. I actually say this right because like I like Saraya.
Mm-hmm.
I like Saraya. I think she is a good worker, and I do think that she is really good on the mic. But I really don't understand why she has to go and be she's basically doing what the NWO did in the 90s. Like she's spray painting everything. She doesn't need to do that. She doesn't. Yeah,
spray paint used to be such a big deal. Used to be like, oh, that's the ultimate sign of disrespect. Or when DX did it, you're like, oh, that's the ultimate like F you, Vince. I just did that. And now it's like, oh, they got the spray paint out.
Yeah, it's not giving her anything at all.
No.
Like I would have liked if she'd done something different. You know, like teams stood out. For example, you mentioned about like spray paint, like the beautiful people in TNA, for example, Velvet Sky, Angelina Love, and all that. They put bags on people because obviously everyone else to them was fucking ugly. So they covered it up.
Did it not seem a bit of an open goal to have Saraya, just quickly, because we're saying Jamie Hayter to win, I think, here. Did it not seem a bit of an open goal to have Saraya involved with the House of Black?
I think it made a lot of sense. I think it made a lot of sense. I would have.
The gimmicks line up. You know, but no, we've got this weird heel instead of this darker heel.
I don't like the name of the team that she's actually with Toni Storm as well. I don't like it.
I wouldn't even be able to tell you what it's called.
Don't look up. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
I will not say it on this show.
I'll take it from you. And let's talk about Hangman Adam Page.
We will.
He's going up against Jon Moxley.
Yes. In a Texas death match.
Yeah, because that's, we need that.
We should rename this match type to we'll just call it the Moxley special because that's
the Moxley match. Yeah. The following is a Moxley match because there's going to be no rules.
I'm just going to do a Justin Rose following contest. Is a Moxley match.
Yeah, that's you've got to be careful. He might sue you.
Justin Roberts for
he might sue you for impersonation.
That was a good. You have to admit that was a good impersonation.
That was pretty good, yeah. And what won't be good is this match, unfortunately, because I think people are getting sick of Jon Moxley. I mean, the fact that he main evented a show against Evil Uno, and it was this is really what we've got. Is that this is what we have left? This is where we are. Jon Moxley main events Dynamite with Evil Uno.
It was the worst bleeding.
It was the main event, right?
It was.
Yeah, it was. I think I remember that right.
I am genuinely sick and tired of bleeding. It's not that there's anything wrong with bleeding. It adds suspense to a match. And a lot of people are saying, oh, he's doing it all the time because he's giving blood, sweat, and tears, and he's showing how much he cares. Yeah, I could take a shit every 5 minutes, and that shows I care about my body because I'm pumping everything out the body that needs to be done. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean anything. Like the blading is generally causing a problem because it's actually distracting from the work. Oh look, we've got another good matchup. Moxley might actually have a good match with this guy. Oh wait, he's blading.
How often does someone bleed on the other show?
Very, very rarely.
And it's important when it happens.
Yeah, like if you're genuinely bleeding in a match, it means you've actually been trusted to do it in this match because it's got something significant.
Yeah. I think more of the sort of blood appearances in that other place. I'm going to drop it now.
Done smarter.
Yeah, WWE's blade jobs are done at important points. And I think more often than not recently, it's been like genuine blood.
Yeah.
Like than sort of a blade job. Like there's been a few things recently where it's like there's been a broken nose and stuff like that. I mean, obviously Becky Lynch, that wasn't a blade job.
That was a pure right hand from Nia Jax.
She got her nose broken. Blood is meant to mean something in wrestling, and Jon Moxley takes that away because he's just a freak. He's just a circus freak, and I'm fed up of him, and I want him to go away. I hope Hangman can make him go away.
I've always liked Moxley's work, but he's never been my favourite out of the three. It's always been Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins...
He was always my least favourite of the three.
Yeah.
Because Roman was always my favourite.
Yeah. I've always preferred Seth Rollins just because I like that type of worker, but...
Yeah. And Greg in there with the good point about Hangman.
Greg's always got good points. Greg's
always
got good points.
Oh, don't inflate his ego like that. If
I wanted to inflate Greg's ego, I'd say he's the best host on the Weekly Armchair, but I'm not going to inflate his ego like that. It's good to see you, my man. Hangman had all the potential to be a star, but preferred to be a friend instead. Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic point. And
he preferred to go off and be a dad.
Yeah. And look what happened.
Yeah.
Look what happened to him.
He lost his spot. They then rushed it to give him... Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. In WWE, he would work because he'd have that sort of... I don't know. I can see a really good program between him and LA Knight.
Yeah.
Or someone like that. Someone that allows Hangman to maybe not be the best promo, but often when you have someone who isn't the best promo, you put them against the person who is the best promo, and then they learn. That's why The Miz has had the pace to beaten out of him for the past few years. Yeah. Because when he feuds with someone, he's able to work on their promos even without explicitly doing so. When you when you speak with The Miz, you start picking up the few things that he does. Mm-hmm. So Hangman would have been great over there, but there's no one in AEW to do that with. Well, there maybe was one, but he wants Hangman out of the company. So much so that obviously reports came out that Punk essentially had a tantrum until Hangman was no longer penciled in to win last year, like to retain against CM Punk. Because apparently the belt was never meant to go on him.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that far. I do think CM Punk had something to do with Hangman sort of basically his fire going out. I don't think he helped.
It wouldn't surprise me in a nutshell, because when you look at it, growing up and all that, CM Punk was quality to watch and quality to listen to. Because he was he understood his role at the time and in the moment, and he was actually very entertaining. And it was great to obviously see him beat Cena, obviously, in Chicago. The cheeky decision that to have him retained in controversial fashion at Night of Champions when it was a double count. He understood his role then. Now he doesn't. Now his role's completely off pace, and it's failed. Greg does come in with this comment though. He doesn't believe that though. There's no way they were going to bring Punk back in to lose.
I mean, they brought everyone else in to lose.
Yeah.
That's my counter to that one. And obviously, Greg and I have had that conversation. Pulling back the kayfabe here. I am his sister. So pulling back that kayfabe, we have had that conversation of, CM Punk was always going to win the belt. And I think I said at the time it was inevitable, that CM Punk had to go over.
You did.
But at the same time, if this is now the report we've got coming out, that means Tony once again wanted to bring in this blockbuster name to have Hangman beat. And again, these things happen, and they're not making any new stars. So Hangman's a big AEW name.
Yeah.
But I still don't think even, like, the stuff he does matters to a certain extent, but you still can't use Hangman to put other people over yet. And that's the whole idea. If they'd taken the Pillars and they'd taken Hangman and everyone like that, and they'd built them up to the point where they could now put over the new people, you wouldn't be relying on really old people on this roster. Anyway, we've gone a bit around the houses there for me to say that I think Hangman has to win here. I hope he wins here, and I'm predicting Hangman to win here. He's deliberating.
Yes. I am. And the reason I am is because of one specific backstage segment, obviously, that Moxley did have. And he did specifically state about Hangman that this company isn't big enough for two of us. You can't have the two of us anymore. You can't have two animals like us, although, to be fair, Moxley, you are an animal. I'd lock you in a cage and then I'd just shock you multiple times. No problem. Is that a reference that one of them might actually be going somewhere, or purely they just cannot be involved with each other after this? This has got to be the end, like once and for all, and then get over and done with. Because that's what he literally referred to in his promo. One of them got concussed, the other got injured, like etc. They cannot have them keep bouncing back and forth. And to be fair, they've already had this is going to be the fourth match. This match should have ended like after match number 3.
I didn't want to see them fight again after the concussion thing. That wasn't even a good match.
No, that wasn't.
Yeah, but anyway, so it's disappointing.
I don't know who I want to win this one, but what I do want to not happen after this is a 5th match. I just don't know who I'm going to back to win.
No, so we want a clean end in the end of the feud. I mean, how do you get clean end in a Texas Death match? You know.
I would genuinely like to see Hangman completely spike the living shit out of Moxley on the entrance ramp.
Oh, a squash match would be fantastic, but they're not going to do that. You're saying Hangman, you're saying Mox?
I want this to be over and done with. I don't give a shit who wins, but I'm going to go with Hangman as well.
Okay.
I see Hangman for me has got much more to offer long term than Moxley, because he actually can work a different variety of match. Moxley can only work one type of match. Yeah. Something extreme, something aggressive. That's all he can do. Sharv, hello, my man. It's good to see you. Hope you're doing well.
Good to see you, Sharv. Just to catch you up, we'll only be replying to... Yeah, fair. If you've not been watching, we're only dealing with comments that are relevant. So, example, that Moxley bleeding buckets, absolutely. We have just spoken about that. It is just disgusting, to be honest.
It's so much repetition. It's actually taken away from the work. I know a lot of people love to see.
Well, you know, the minute that he takes a bump on the outside, you know he's reaching for the blade. So, you know, it's ridiculous. Anyway, we want to have enough time to talk about the main event. So, apologies if we're going to gloss over a couple of matches here. In fairness, it's not like they really matter. I mean, certainly this one doesn't. Because this feud's been terrible. I mean, they were partners for 3 weeks. Then it broke up. Wardlow said that he was coming for every title, and Samoa Joe got offended because he was a champion at the time.
Yeah.
And then Samoa Joe was the television king, probably is again now, but he lost his belt and then won it back.
Quite quickly, yeah.
Which seems pretty pointless. Like, why have him lose the belt in the meantime? It's like they didn't know what they wanted to happen. So they were just flipping a coin and going, yeah, sure, win the belt. Yeah, sure, win it back. You know, ridiculous. Exactly. And Wardlow's had his hair sort of messed with, and they're trying everything to make me care about this, and I don't care. I think Wardlow wins, because again, I don't see what you get out of Samoa Joe going over. I think you've sort of ruined Wardlow at this point, but he may as well be TNT champion. So I'm going to say Wardlow.
I think the only positive you get from this, if Wardlow beats Samoa Joe, then I'm actually going to reference another company that actually makes perfect sense for Samoa Joe right now. If Wardlow wins if Wardlow wins tomorrow,
Mhm.
it is the perfect time for Samoa Joe to go back to Ring of Honor. Go back to Ring of Honor, because obviously the main tape, like the tape shows are actually coming out this week. So
Yeah.
it would be good to have him involved there long term. He shouldn't come back to AEW after this. If he loses to Wardlow, he shouldn't come back. He should stick to Ring of Honor.
There should be the beginning of the hard sort of split. And
Yeah.
going like, no, you're Ring of Honor, you're AEW, and you don't cross except for maybe once, twice a year.
Absolutely.
That's it. You know, they should be their own worlds. So I think Wardlow, you saying Wardlow?
As much as I like Wardlow, no. I'm going to go against you on this one.
So you think Samoa Joe to retain?
I want to see Samoa Joe go to Ring of Honor. I just think because they've only just started bringing it back, they're not there yet. They've still got some good talent, the likes of Claudio, etc. They've built to it.
Okay.
They'll work their way up. He'll then go there. I think he'll retain tonight, but I think he'll lose at the next. I think he'll lose at the next pay-per-view. I think he will hold it for a little bit longer. But
he'll drop it to someone proper weird like Takeshita or something.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm thinking. But I know Greg's going with Wardlow. I like Wardlow. I think he's absolutely superb. I think he's a quality worker, and I do like his powerbomb, to be fair. But I just think I would only have Wardlow win the title if Samoa Joe's going to go back to Ring of Honor where he should be. I just don't think he's going to go there just yet. But Wardlow, but the fact is, I like the new look, to be fair. I like the fact that they chopped off his stupid little ponytail. He looks serious for a change. Will we get more out of him? No, I'm not 100% sure, but I hope to see something like that, because I think he is. I think he's a missing trick. Like a few other guys on that roster, I think he's one of the big missing tricks. He's exactly what Brian Cage was supposed to be. And that says a lot.
Supposed to be. Much like how the AEW World Tag Team titles are supposed to be serious, supposed to show the pinnacle of tag team wrestling, supposed to be treated properly, and we get given this shocking match. This should just be the Guns and the Acclaimed again.
Should be. Yeah.
Or the Guns and someone. Maybe FTR. You got them down the back of the fridge, don't you, Tony? But no, we're getting the Guns and the Acclaimed. And then, because Tony Khan loves a multi-man and he loves to get as many people involved as possible, Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, who to my mind have only lost as a tag team. So why are they here?
Purely because of the work they've been doing recently that seems to be getting people interested. It seems to be getting interest from people. That's it. But I'm not really interested in that.
I don't even want to mention the last team.
I'll mention one. I like Danhausen. I think he's cool. But
no, go away. He stands on the outside of the ring cursing people. It's not what I want to see in wrestling. I don't even want to see it in not wrestling. If that was on stage, if the Best Friends were on stage, and I love musicals and I love theatre, huge fan. If that was on stage, I'd want my money back.
I thought you were going to say a comedy stage there. I'd be like, would definitely be shouting
I'd want my money back if it was comedy. If they were trying to pass that off as a comedy, if they went, okay, we're going to do Book of Mormon, but here's Orange Cassidy, I'd be like, I want my money back. You can go away. He's a talentless numpty. And Danhausen's a talentless numpty with face paint and a funny voice. Talentless numpties. I've had enough of them. I think the Guns retain here. I hope to God the Guns retain here. Because if they don't, I know who's winning it. And I don't know if my blood pressure can take it, Reece. So I'm saying the Guns.
If the Guns don't win this, it's going to be Lethal and Jarrett.
What do you think? I mean, that at least would be that's not the nuclear option.
Lethal consequence to win.
Okay.
No, I am. To be fair, I am the same as you. To be fair, I don't see the need in having 4 tag teams. I already said months ago when Jarrett was joining AEW, that was perfect for them, for somebody who can actually be involved in a creative sense. That's what he should have been in. He hasn't done that. Clearly, Tony Khan is a good booker at lying. This man is brilliant at killing lies.
Oh, yeah. Top BS artist.
Jay Lethal should be teaming with someone else. And if he's going to be in the tag team scene, he should be teaming with somebody else. This is just ridiculous.
Yeah, or he should be a singles guy doing serious singles stuff, having feuds and, you know, winning some feuds, being an upper mid card guy, being a main eventer. You know, like he's a very good wrestler. Yeah, and we've got two very good wrestlers in the main event. But I don't know how I feel about this match. I don't think I want to see it. I'm going to watch it. I don't think I want to see it, though. It's not the length that can... Well, it's not directly the length that concerns me.
It is a little bit, though.
I don't like Bryan Danielson being involved in this.
Go on.
Bryan Danielson came back, and it's one of the most heartwarming stories. Remember that SmackDown episode? And he was doing the GM stuff or the commissioner stuff. Can't remember which role he had. And we suddenly got a tweet like 3 hours before the show. Daniel Bryan has a huge announcement.
He does.
And it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. And he comes out. I think it opened SmackDown.
It opened, yeah, because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn came out as well.
And Daniel Bryan announced that he was coming back. And the wrestling world cried tears of joy altogether. And it didn't matter if you loved WWE or if you hated it. It was so emotional. It was like Edge returning. It was basically that again. This was unbelievable.
Absolutely.
He comes back knowing full well there's a real concussion risk. He's already been concussed in this company by Chris Jericho in Anarchy at the Arena.
Yes.
So, and he missed the ZSJ match and Blood and Guts because of it. Another match that I wouldn't have been comfortable seeing him in. But every Bryan Danielson match, his opponent rather smartly goes, I'm going to go for the head. I'm going to go for the head. Bryan Danielson rather stupidly decides to headbutt people. There are safe ways to work the head, and I get it that accidents happen, and no one has on purposely concussed Bryan Danielson.
It just happens.
Law of averages dictates if he keeps taking bumps to the head, he's going to get another concussion. And at best, he'll have to retire from wrestling. At worst, his brain will be a soup.
He needs to stop using that. Like I said it when he came back to a friend of mine who's another big Bryan Danielson fan. When he came back, I was buzzing. He came back, and so was he. And I literally went, if he comes back and does that diving headbutt, I will never watch. Like, I will never watch another match of his in a serious manner again. Like, I will not watch as a fan. I'll end up watching it as somebody who's going to start becoming a medical profession. Like, I just cannot watch it as a fan if he's just going to keep doing the diving headbutt. And the worst thing as well, though, is people go to Daniel Bryan matches to watch that running knee, the kick combinations, the build up with the crowd that he has.
I love watching him fold someone. I love the technical wrestling.
So do I. But there's people that go to a Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson match, depending on the company he's in, to watch him do that diving headbutt.
To watch the head trauma happen. And it's disgusting.
It's horrible, and I hate it. I mean, I think the one thing he's done brilliantly since he's returned is when he does that running knee. The running kick into the turnbuckle where he holds the ropes and literally stops himself from falling on his head.
He does really well with that. He's changed that. He does really well with sort of get himself around so he doesn't land on his head.
I don't get if he's going to do a top rope move, why not change it to a diving splash or a diving elbow? You're not going to get...
I mean, I said that I don't really like the crossbody, but in his case, it would make sense, you know, or a drop kick.
Yeah, a drop kick makes sense.
But do something.
The diving headbutt, another thing as well, and a lot of people speculate this over the years as well, because obviously he was heavily on steroids, he was on a lot of things.
Yeah.
The diving headbutt also contributed to Chris Benoit's mental trauma.
Exactly.
Well.
I can't watch that move and not think of Chris Benoit. So it's just, I'd rather he really didn't do it. But he's going to do it. The match is going to go an hour. Yeah. Sharv made a good point in the comments saying that the Iron Man stipulation isn't needed. And you're absolutely right. And they're trying to frame it. Well, they're trying to frame it as like, oh, you can't out wrestle me. Like, so have a wrestling match then. Why are you having an Iron Man match? This isn't a feud. You're having a one-off match. And this feud hasn't been good for MJF either.
It hasn't been at all. He's been getting ripped apart week after week after week. He's got nothing to show from this except that he's still world champion.
And he's committed several crimes, so that's good.
True.
You know, obviously the story about the ex-girlfriend a couple of weeks ago, where he sort of switched places in the car, and it got people to genuinely report it. And people were like, it's so funny, they're taking it seriously. At the same time, like, he's not a comedy heel. He's not meant to be a comedy heel. He's meant to be the heel. Like, you can be a comedy heel when you're not the world champion.
Mm-hmm.
If your world champion is a comedic heel, he needs to lose the title as soon as possible. Because if you stop taking the top heel in the company seriously,
you're fucked.
Reset it all.
Yeah.
Start again. It's like if people turned around and started laughing at Roman Reigns tomorrow.
Yes, that's stupid. A good point. That's a good point, actually. And that's my concern. We don't need to share screen because obviously we've now done all the matches, which is great. But we are going to keep talking about this match a little bit longer because...
Yeah, we'll end on this one.
This match literally could be... We've said it for a long time about make or break for AEW. And we've spoken about like where they go as a company. MJF, we know next year, depending on what happens, the War of 2024, is he going to go to WWE? Is he going to stay in AEW? What is he going to do? A lot of people are saying, actually, he's still staying with AEW. They're just going to keep riding this out as long as they can just to milk it to get ratings, which could horribly backfire. Right now, there is nobody in professional wrestling that is better than Bryan Danielson.
Exactly.
Maybe Okada, but that's just
pure Okada. Probably Roman in terms of character, but when you talk about purely in ring, no, very few. Very few.
If MJF does win tomorrow, it's got to be completely convincing. You cannot win this by saying, it's went down to like the last 5 minutes. It's still the scoreline is still 0-0. Then the last 60 seconds,
you know he's going to punch him with the ring.
Yeah, he is.
Like, you know he's going to punch him with the ring.
Yeah.
And it's just... It almost doesn't work, MJF as the world champion. And we thought it was going to work, but the way they're doing it, it isn't working. Because he's got to... He doesn't know how to be not present. So when he's not on the show, he can't like put himself over. And it's almost like when he is on the show, you're like, oh yeah, he's the world champion. Forgot about that.
And I will say this though, and I will give him credit for one thing. He is at least being present as a world champion. He is actually there reminding people that the world title is actually here, and he is trying to get
reminding people that he's committed crimes, that he was an absolute loser, and that everyone hates him. We don't need a reminder that everyone hates you. Look at you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think despite all this ragging on MJF that I'm doing, and he can cut a promo on Twitter if he wants, I'm not on there, so I'm not going to see it.
It's frequent flyer miles for promos on Twitter have seriously increased.
Exactly. I think MJF is going to win. I think it would be the wrong decision. I think you eventually had to just cut your losses. They're not going to cut their losses yet. They obviously want to keep MJF sweet. So I think MJF has to retain.
Yeah. My heart says Bryan Danielson. My head 100% says MJF. But
hopefully Danielson's head will be okay.
Yeah. This is the trick for me, though. And I think this would go in MJF's favour. And this actually could help him.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't beat him by pinfall.
Okay.
I think if you really want to show MJF as a dominant world champion, Bryan Danielson is an amazing technical wrestler. He's brilliant in the work of submissions. He's brilliant at forcing people to like literally give up at will. There is nothing stopping MJF beating Bryan Danielson by actually making him tap out, and actually not just like a mediocre submission, a full on like a crossface of his own, or an ankle lock or a clover leaf, something that will genuinely show he's actually willing to win in a different way. Forcing Danielson to tap out would actually raise a lot of more different questions about, actually, hold on, what more has this guy actually got that we're not seeing yet? Like, let's see what he can physically do in a submission way. If he wants to beat him in a wrestling match, not going to be as simple as that. He would have to do a lot of heelish tactics because Bryan Danielson will run circles around him. But if he beats him at his own game,
that could elevate him. Anyway, that's our thoughts on Revolution. That's who we think's going to win the matches. That's what we think's coming out of it. Billy, I'm almost inclined to agree with you. I've sounded very negative today. I'm aware that negative Eilidh has been out in full force, but I have to call it like it is. I'm not looking forward to this show. I think it's got some of Tony Khan's worst instincts on it. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. You know, you only know what the show's like at the end of it. And we are at the end of this one. So, Reece, do as you do and take us home.
Yeah, so our runtime that we usually do, an hour and a half, is sadly no longer the case. That's something that has been discussed around us.
Yeah, don't look at it as a negative. The weekly Steelchair, slicker than ever.
But one thing that, well, actually, there's two things that aren't changing. One, us on a Saturday, unless we're dead. And two, we are still doing the Iron Man quiz on March 18th. I don't care how long it runs. It's still going ahead.
We'll find out. You will have to check with the boss on that one, of course.
Oh, we still are. Don't worry. We still are.
Billy, very excited. I'm sure that'll be a talking point next week. Very excited.
We're gonna do that next week, 100%. Yeah. And Sharv, last comment in from yourself, buddy. AEW still treat it like it's the best thing, sliced bread. That's a perfect analogy to it, mate.
Yeah,
perfect. And on that, we are gonna wrap it up there. Thank you, everyone that has watched this week. It's been a good show. 1 hour actually felt good. I mean, it's been a good show. I'll admit we were going to try and see for an hour, see what we can do. You know what? We got through the whole show with a couple of minutes to spare. And still spoke. So that's a success. That's a roaring success. Something that other companies have to be this year. We'll see how it goes. But this has been your Saturday edition of the Weekly Steelchair. Join us next Saturday for another blockbuster show. We will be talking about that other show. We will also discuss Ring of Honor next week, and that is on the discussion. We'll do half an hour on WWE, half an hour on Ring of Honor, and then the following week, Weekly Steelchair Iron Man quiz. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao.
It's my life in the box in front of me. Taking talk in my arms is the soul of me.